rolling. You are live. I mean, we are
Yeah.
Huang, and
And Heiko, and we're the Essence of Truth podcast.
which is all about the freedom and happiness that everybody want, but they don't know how to get.
Very well said. And so today we talk about how everyday conversations are poisoning your soul and how they're impacting you in so many ways that you don't even recognize. Where little shifts happening over time, you completely, sometimes it's in, at some points, change your personality and you don't even know what happened. And until you recognize it, so much has shifted and you don't even know where to start. You didn't even know where it began. And so, to avoid all of that and help you to even, if you catch yourself, to recover from that, we're going to share our stories, our experiences, so you can get the most out of that. That being said, though, Huang, you had just had an experience like that. So, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, I remember when I first came to Netherlands, I go to school. The interesting thing about it is that I didn't notice that, of course, in the beginning. Is that people talking about how the weather is actually bad today, right? This game, oh my God, they're just making update again, and the frustration and stuff, and so all the little bit of the complaining, right? That building up, and I didn't notice that until actually later when I started to that we are actually the five people that we surround ourselves with. It's so true. And let me bring you back to actually in Vietnam. I was growing up in the hood, right? And luckily my mom, she was such a smart mom. She told me to actually she kind of put a wall into me not hanging out with the other people that's smoking or using drugs or like or thief and that stuff as well. Or beside being beating like to that by them too, of course. But not every kid's learn. So it was really helpful, and in that way, I was able to be more focused on the things that are a little bit more important, like solving solution and not complaining about it, right? And so practically I already have the skill back then to a certain degree. So when I was at school and I hear about those complaining this and that, and complaining is what I notice is that we kind of put ourselves into the victim part, which is like, oh, poor me, I'm powerless, I couldn't do anything. And because I allow myself, to hang out with the people, and they are good people, they're beautiful people, by the way, very good, beautiful heart. But sometimes there are behaviors and there are things that we do in our daily life that when we do not notice them, literally just the poison fall into ourselves. Then when it build up, it become well, it becomes something else entirely. And that was what I experienced. I remember I started to complain about, oh, just to belong, right? Just to feel belong slowly, and it become a habit. And I noticed the energy shift so much faster. I become, I complain, I suffering even more and worse until there's something else happened. I had to go into the literally the like rock bottom to relearn about other stuff as well, to literally reprogramming myself back again. Um, and it's never get back to the point of before before I learned to complain. um, uh, and at the same time, it's actually allow the part about the consciousness. It's allowed me to to kind of have a insight into, hey, hang on, I'm complaining. That when we complain, we kind of like have a feelings inside of us that we notice the energy shift. At least I did, and that is where I started to get out of it. So I started to change my wording, change my body posture, change the things, but literally will influence my own state and my own energy. And it become very very different life, especially sometimes I still fall back to that. And because of the of the consciousness, it's become sharper. It's allowed me to get out. And not only that, and kudos to all of you guys out there, by the way, when you go through the experience and you get out of it, you have that insight which will allow you not only to help yourself but also the people that are close to you as well. So remember that.
Very well said. And thank you so much for sharing your experience. And I would just want to say, like, first off, kudos to your mom because she seemed to be really amazing. And especially in that kind of environment, really set you up on a strong path. And then obviously, yes, you got influenced when you moved to Netherlands. But I love how you said it, where you became aware, even though you had to hit rock bottom, right? It had to be really low for you to recognize that something needs to shift, but you made it. And I totally agree with what you shared when you said, it's raising your level of consciousness because I had the same experience. Like at every time I recognize my own patterns of when I become negative or complaining or things like that, the more I become aware of that, the sharper I become around that, the easier it's going to be to move away from that again. And it's not being conscious about it that actually is the key element that eventually leads to hitting rock bottom because you just don't realize along the way, right? It's those tiny little things that it's chipping away step by step who you are. And you try, and you said it perfectly, right? You were trying to fit in, you're trying to belong into the group. So you do what they do. But then it's literally changed who you become. And I can very much relate to that because, I mean, I grew up in Germany, lived there for many years until I was 25, kind of thing, before I left Germany. And obviously, my whole personality back then got wired in those 25 years. Then, when I left Germany, also was the same time when I started personal development. So, a lot of changes happened, but all the changes happened for me in the English language. And so that was very interesting because for the next 6 years, I would be abroad. I would mainly use English, learn English, do all the personal development stuff English. And my personality shifted radically. Like looking back, I became a completely different person. Interesting though, and this is one part that I find kind of there's something missing when people say like you become like the 5 people you spend most time with, because yes, they have an immediate impact on you, but we shouldn't forget the wiring that happened in the past, because that's the experience I made after 6 years when I went back to Germany, back to family, back to friends, back to my old environment, where even though I became a completely different person, it took hours. And I kind of went back to who I was before, who I was 6 years ago. And it happened so far. Like totally didn't realize it until I found myself complaining a lot, thinking negatively, like being negatively, and not having my energy anymore. Just, like growing up, don't want to start the day. And I'm like, what's going on here? It wasn't be like that for the last couple of years. So what just happened? And of course, negative state I was in, I was blaming everyone else. Oh, it's them, it's the environment, it's this thing, right? But eventually I got to the point where I took responsibility. I owned the situation. I owned what I did. I owned my negativity. And that gave me the power and control to shift away from that. And what I've realized is like, yes, the people who spend time with immediately have an impact, but you still have your old wiring somewhere in your brain, in the subconscious. This is still there. And I was wondering, what was it that triggered that? Like, how was it possible that I shifted so quickly without me even realizing it? And I found the most powerful trigger that I had was language patterns from my environment. And because it's so easy to adapt them. And also, like, especially because they were two different languages, like all of this, I spoke more German again. And I spoke about things that I didn't usually speak about for the past 6 years. And so it all came back. And even, memories or certain sayings or things that I used to say 6 years, it all came back. I haven't used it for 6 years, but it was there instantly. And so it was really the language patterns that triggered the whole thing. And with that, my physiology shifted, my energy shifted, my focus shifted. And that then completely brought me back to where I was before. Now, we left Germany again, right? We went to Canada, we went to Vietnam. And now, 2.5 years later, we went back to Germany last week. So it's very fresh. This time I was where? This time I was prepared. And I deliberately had an awareness around language patterns of others and my own. And I noticed how certain thoughts, certain even automatic behaviors came up, but I interrupted them before I actually would say something or become negative or something like that. And I would, consciously just going down a more playful route with that. Just saying, instead of saying something negative, going, making something playful out of it, or just changing my voice around it. But the interesting thing was that, first of all, it didn't impact me at all. And it even allowed me to, how should I say, create a new space kind of with the people around me. Because what I also recognized last time I went there is that everyone basically sees you as before you left, because they have no reference of what happened with you along the way. So in their brain, all the mechanisms, all the neurons are just activated the last time they saw you, which obviously then it makes it easier to trigger your old self. But for me, like now being aware this time, reacting differently, speaking differently, saying completely different things, made them like, oh, all right. And I noticed how they were more curious about, okay, what did we do and how do we do it now and how do we live now and think now. And so everything shifted and it created almost like a new baseline. And from that, at some point, I didn't need to be like super aware that like what do I say, what does everybody else say. It was more like a new baseline was created, and I could settle down and just enjoy everything with everyone. And I didn't need, it's not. I don't want you to think like, oh, you need to be super aware, you need to have to willpower everything all the time. No, it doesn't. It just it's just the wiring. Right? You have your new baseline. You became a new person. They don't know that yet. So they need to update their inner wiring as well. And what it comes down to is who is more congruent, more certain, more present in the moment. If you are not present, you will be sucked back to your old self, so to speak. If you are more present, you will bring them towards your new self. And so awareness is a really strong key element here. Who you spend time with is a very strong thing, but also who you have been. It is still there and you need to be aware of it. Like I fell into the trap and I'm going to make sure that I'm not falling back into it again because, and you know it, Juan, when you hit rock bottom or when you're sinking deep into it, it's so much harder to get back out of it again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing, brother. And I mean, it's so important to be aware, right? And be aware of not only where we presently are, but what was it that kind of keep us there, and using those references, right, to kind of discover what else is out there, to make sure that we are not falling back into the old thing, especially for the people that are in self-development, like you and I, like all of us that are watching, right? um, that it's the people, after a certain time, the people is not going to recognize us anymore because they do not have the references, right? When it returns there will be a certain pulling energy, right? Kind of like a gravitational field that they kind of want to pull us toward that, and to make sure that we are not trying to please them, right? That we are really at, like, this is who I am, and that we will face them sometimes, especially when our energy is low. Any one of you guys ever like, I didn't eat enough, I didn't sleep enough, didn't drink enough water, exercise, whatever it is, that our energy get lower, and those are the most of the time our most vulnerable part, you know um it's just, and I have a different story that I kind of related to, HIV, right? Practically the virus is destroy our immune system, and when that happens, our energy, which is our immune system, is so low that any disease can kill us. So this is the same thing, right? When our energy is low, when our defense is low, it could really get into us when we are not aware and taking good care of ourselves. So thank you so much for sharing, brother. It's very much go.
And thank you for sharing this part because this is very important. And it's something where like, especially as you said, like when you have low energy, when you're not really there, when like something happened, you were stressed out or something, you're very suggestible, you're very vulnerable. And those are the times that matter the most. This is where it's really easy to be dragged down in the direction you don't want to be influenced. And so what I do is two things. Basically, first off, I try to maintain a high energy all the effing time with lots of things that I do to and this the standard that I hold myself to make sure it is the case. But also, I deliberately train myself that if I get to those states, which is inevitable, but life is life, we can't just always be out. But if I'm there, then I'm training myself to have this baseline of at least knowing who I am and just setting a boundary. Where like if something happens, it's like, you know what, I'm not in the right space for this right now. I don't like this, right? I don't like gossip or negativity or whatever. Like nothing bad about you, but right now I'm not up for it. So like either we change the topic or I'm out of here, and that's it. And then basically give them a choice. And either way, if I have to get out of there or not, like I'm fine with that. I'm fine with whatever because I know my own inner sanctuary, my own health, whether it's physical, mental health, is more important. And if I let myself being dragged into something just because I think I have to right now, then it just makes things worse. And I'm gonna need days, maybe even weeks to get back to where I was before. And that's not worth it. And so it's all about just communication. And really just like, even if it's just like, you know what, I'm too tired right now for this. So can we just change the topic or like anything else? Can we go somewhere else or something like that? And if not, then you know what, I'm just going home. I'm just, go to bed, whatever. Because I need to protect myself. And it's like in the airplane, you take care of yourself first, then you take care of somebody else. And if you're not in the right state for that, that's cool. So be it. We are humans. And it's just about communication. Doesn't mean you have to make anyone wrong or anything like that. It's just you communicate your truth. And coming to the essence of truth, like this is to me staying in my essence, knowing who I am, knowing my boundaries, and clearly communicating them. Doesn't mean I need to fight for them. I can literally, if I'm too tired, just say like, this is my limit. I can't go any further. So either you're cool with that or I'm out. That's it.
Boundary is something extremely important that not all of us talk about, or at least maybe interpreted it in a different way, right? Boundary is beautiful when we are not making anyone wrong, by the way, guys. It's practically stating where we are, which is, our brother, Coach Heiko here, has sharing it beautifully, right? And if you guys need or want any tricks or, like anything, I believe. Yeah, you can of course comment under there and let us know because he had plenty of those beautiful tricks, and I call it tricks but actually techniques, right? Which are extremely helpful with that. um and yeah, I really love what you share about a boundary. That is actually my takeaway. I believe sometimes I could wanting to help people so much. I can want to have so many things that are literally, that are out there, and I forgot about myself, about my own energy. Um, and to a certain point, I sometimes, oh, and this is my different way of doing that, by the way. What I always has done was stating, this is kind of like what I believe in, right? And I think I said it a couple of times through our life already with my bestest of friends. I love you guys, right? I mean, like, I really appreciate our friendship, our brotherhood, our love. And also, there's this path I really believe in, and I will let you guys, go even I have to, if I have to. So kind of like that. So it is the same thing, but then a little bit extreme, extreme when saying it. Yeah. So I do love the boundary part. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, and thank you for that addition. First of the addition that you just spoke about, but also the thing that you said before, where like because I have the same where like I want to help, someone. So and I make myself, like not respecting my own boundaries because like maybe I am I need rest right now or something like that. But I really want to help someone, so I'm pushing myself beyond a certain point. And so I find, and this is for me, this is the most difficult part. It's not so much boundaries to set for other people. It's more like respecting my own boundaries because I want so much. And so this to me is a very important part. And also I think for all the, especially in self-improvement, all the high achievers out there, something you might need to check in with as well. Because I know from my own clients as well, where they always share, like, I need to respect my own boundaries. I can set it for others, but I need to respect my own. And I find myself again and again going beyond that. And then whatever kind of habit or action is associated to that doesn't really matter. It really comes down to honoring our boundaries. And with that comes so much else, right? Self-respect and everything. So I really love that you brought it up because this is such an important part that's unfortunately not very often talked about. So I'm curious, guys, do you want us to make an episode about boundaries, whether it's for somebody else or your own? And if so, what are your experiences, your stories about that? So we can basically use that as an example and help you directly through that. Also, what are your takeaways of today? Like, what did you enjoy? What came up for you? Did you have experiences like that? Or did you have different experiences? Like, anything you would like to share, share it in the comments or send us a message. We would really love to read it and get your feedback on this. Also, if you have any other ideas or topics you would like us to talk about, feel free to share. We're doing this for you guys. So let us know and we're happy to serve.
And thank you so much, for watching, and for those that are, aligned with our path, that somewhere, somehow, some way, being attracted to this episode, to these episodes, of us here, because we are here, we are part of you, everything is connected, right? So we are part of you and you are part of us, intertwined. That's by the, I want to say something about time and space, but I do not know how to connect those two together. Yeah, yeah. No matter time and space, everything happened at the right time. So I would say, remember who you truly are.
And
And
remember the power of creation you possess, guys.
absolutely, you guys rock. Remember that. All right.
Take care
Take
until
care.
next time.
Love you guys. See you guys next